After my husband died, and I mean, he did take all of my time. He was blind and he was on dialysis. There was a big hole in my life. There was nothing to fill it. I mean, every day I was on a schedule with him. I also became quite lonely. But one day, a friend from Texas sent me a invitation to Richard Paul Evans' ranch and his writer retreat. So it was only a week before the retreat. I never thought that I would go because I never traveled alone. So I was very nervous.
Are you a woman who knows God is calling you to something more, but you're unsure where to start or how to grow it into something impactful? You are not alone, and you're in the right place. Welcome to the Arise Women of God podcast, a show for Christian women who feel called to shine His light and step into their divine purpose. Each week, you'll hear stories of faithful women, both from the Bible and today, who heard God's voice and chose to say yes, even when it felt uncomfortable or uncertain to step with faith into the unknown. You'll walk away with encouragement, spiritual insight, and practical steps to follow those holy promptings in your own life. So let's arise together as women warriors of light. Let's do it God's way, God strong. Welcome to the Arise Women of God podcast. I'm your host, Tamara K. Anderson, and joining me today is Sharon Leino. Sharon, thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I am so excited to have Sharon on the podcast today. She is one of those people who I have known for many years, and I look up to her and I want to be like her when I grow up. Honestly and truly, I'm like, if I can be like Sharon, like she's been in her 70s and 80s, when I hit that point, I feel like God will be like, good job, Tamara.
Oh, I'm sure he'll say that before you hit 70.
Oh, anyway, but let me introduce you a little bit to Sharon, and we'll dive into her story and why we have her on the show today. So, Sharon Leino's early life, education, and career were spent in Michigan. And after graduating from Eastern Michigan University with a master's degree, she became an educator and a curriculum consultant. Her career changed to being a diagnostician for children with special needs after that. And her favorite job, besides being a wife and a mother, was working with the Cooper Country Mental Health as an advocate for medically fragile children. She currently resides in Florida with her daughter, son-in-law, and 2 sister cats. So, Sharon, we are so excited to have you and to dive into your story a little bit today. And I thought I would kick it off really quick by asking you this question. You were a caretaker for your husband for 12 years,
Yes.
uh, as he was declining, and then he passed away. And then you were kind of in a spot where you were like, "What now, God?" Right? Why don't you
Yes.
take me to that point and talk me through how God dropped this new calling into your lap?
Okay. Well, after my husband died, and I mean, he did take all of my time. He was blind and he was on dialysis. There was a big hole in my life. There was nothing to fill it. I mean, every day I was on a schedule with him, and I also became quite lonely. But one day, a friend of mine, and it wasn't too long. Well, it was my husband died in the fall, and it was in the spring or maybe June, May or June, I don't remember. But a friend from Texas sent me a invitation to Richard Paul Evans' ranch and his writer retreat. She could not go. And so she thought maybe I would be interested because when I was in Texas, we belonged to the same writers group. So it was only a week before the retreat, and I had to call and make sure that it was okay if I came because he didn't know me and I sure didn't know him. So, I never thought that, I would go because I never traveled alone. We traveled a lot, abroad and throughout the United States, but never alone. So I was very nervous. And, when I arrived at the ranch, it was just a very wonderful experience, of meeting with other people, and especially, Richard's mentoring. He's a great teacher, and that started my journey. And then I wrote, um, for probably a year and a half before I was ready to, find a publisher. And finding a publisher is very difficult. And, I tried, self-publishers, but, a lot of them sounded like they were scams, and I just was unsure. So my sister-in-law was, had friends in the publishing business, and she, um, asked them, and they recommended small publishers. Flint Hills Publisher was one, and there was one in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but they were no longer in, operation. And so I wrote a letter and sent a couple of pages of my book after I had gone online and looked at her webpage and sent them there, and she rejected them. So I went back to her webpage because she was an attorney and she was offering advice to people who were publishing. And so I called her and she was going to charge $50 an hour. And we started talking. And at the end of the hour, she said, I'm not charging you and send me your book. And that's how it all started.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Wow, I just got tingles as you told that story, Sharon. That is amazing. It's yeah, writing and publishing is quite the journey, and I think people who haven't done it think it's easier than it really is.
Oh, it's not easy. And I'll tell you, especially getting a publisher, I feel that was a miracle of God. And I feel that it was his leading that made me go back and try and talk to her and try and figure out what to do. I really feel it was all God.
Absolutely, and I know it was, because
Mm.
he called you into this. Now, I'd love to have you share what you felt God calling you to write and how you were able to weave faith into it. Would you mind sharing that?
Well, I always say God and I were partners in my writing because I came up with ideas that I never had before. My love of, children, for one thing, started me writing and realizing the problems they had. Now, when COVID hit, and that's when I was starting to write, I was online and learning to be online, and I saw how children's education was being handled during this time, and how many parents did not have the time to make sure their children were on computers, and how many children did not have computers. I mean, there's just so many problems with their education at that time. And so I started also thinking of the fear of COVID and what that was doing. And that's how I started out with Scaredy and children being afraid because they were afraid of that time. They were afraid of people. They were afraid to be in public. They had to wear these masks. And it was just a difficult time. And from that point, then I went on to writing other books on anger that children have, trouble listening, and sadness that children feel. And someone said, well, where did I get all these feelings from or these ideas for the children? And I guess I look back on my own childhood, my own life, and I interjected some of those feelings in because they're just normal feelings that everyone has, whether it's a child or an adult.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We all deal with fear. We all deal with anger. To some degree, I love that you're targeting elementary school children, and your books are chapter books, right?
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
they're faith-based, they're fantasy, and they even though they're clean and they're faith-based, it's not, like, in your face, but I have put the Night of Light in there, which is representative of Jesus, to show that he's in the first book, he was there in the background, and he was always there when he was needed, but he never came out and participated with them until they really needed him. Um, because I feel that as a even as adults, we do that. God makes sure that we try and solve problems and decisions ourselves and work for what we want. He's not a Santa Claus, he's not a therapist. He's our God and our creator, and, he is someone we can always depend on to help us. And so that's how I more or less developed all the books. And as the books progressed, then the Night of Light became more and more part of the book.
I love that God inspired you how to weave that into your fantasy story. And I love children love learning through that creative fantasy. In fact, reading fantasy is one of my favorite genres as an adult. I know one of several years ago, I think it might have even been during COVID. I was talking to a friend and I'm like, I need a new series to read. And she handed me this first book of a series. And she goes, try this. And I went home and I read it. I think I devoured it in like one day. And I go back to her, I'm like, do you have book two? She goes, I have it on Kindle, but she goes, I bet they have it at the library. And so I run over to the library and I'm looking in the young adult section, cannot find it, cannot find it. Finally, I go up to the library and I'm like, I need book two of this series. And she said, oh, that's in the children's section. And I'm like, oh, of course it is.
Oh, the characters that I try and create are not scary, but they're fun, and they have their own, problems and follies, and children can identify, I think, with them, and they laugh at them, and some are maybe a little spooky, but they're not so scary that they cannot handle it.
I love this. Well, Sharon, it's so fun to hear you talk about these books and these characters. We will be sure to drop links if anybody's interested in the show notes so that you can find Sharon's book series. It's The Adventures of Lucer. So we'll be sure to talk more about that. But before we get to that, you mentioned at the beginning finding a publisher was an obstacle you faced. And I
Yes.
think as women of God, sometimes in our minds we're like, well, if God calls me to do it, it's going to be like this sunshiny path I'm going to walk and all the doors are just going to fly right open and it's not always the case. Sometimes it's a battle to go down that path. I think because we're being called by God, the adversary throws all this stuff at us, and it's almost like more of a war zone as we step into whatever God's calling us to do because God's like, come on, I'll open the right door at the right time. And he does.
Yeah.
But the adversary is like, oh no, she's going to do something good. Quick, everybody stop her. And so I'd love to have you talk about maybe some of the other obstacles you faced along the way besides finding a publisher.
Social media was a huge obstacle. I mean, if I said I would never get on social media, but now I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and trying to learn all of them was, not even a love relationship, but a hate relationship. And if it wasn't for my daughter and friends helping me, I don't think I could have made it, but God supplied them when I needed them. In the beginning, I kept calling Instagram Postagram or Toastagram. And my friend, from the writers retreat, Tasha, really took me under her wing and showed me how to post, and then entered my daughter. I love creating the post. but when it comes to putting it online and writing the description, I always make mistakes. I misspell, I hurry through, and it's taken her a long time to get me to slow down, to check my spelling, and to do it right. And even to this day, I still hear, "You must take that down because you misspelled this word." So that still is, a challenge, but even finding the time now I'm organized, and I tell you, you have to be organized when you post. You have to learn to schedule. Thank you, Tamara. In the classes that you gave me, I learned to schedule my post, and so I don't have to do it every morning, posting, and then I have to take time to make sure I heart or friend other people. You also taught me how to use Meta Business, which is still difficult, but I'm getting it. I'm not giving up. Just that has been the biggest bane of, marketing for me. But, the blessing I have from God is that Gretchen is with me, because we've sold 1,881 books, and without her help, I never would have been able to do it. But God sent her to vendor for me, to set up booths and tear them down, and to find places where we can go sign books. But in marketing is the second most difficult thing in trying to get your book out there, trying to get it on different platforms, build your base so that others can find it, and it's slow, very, very slow.
No, I love what you've shared here, Sharon, because learning new skills is hard at any age, but I especially look at you, and this is one of the reasons I love and admire Sharon. I mean, here she is tackling Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And how old are you now, Sharon? Should
I'm
I even
82.
ask?
Sure. At this age, I don't care. I'm 82.
At 82, and she's out there and she's learning new skills, and that is one of the reasons I love and admire Sharon is that, at an age where a lot of people are just using their phones for, I'm using it as a phone, I'm taking pictures with it, and I use it when I'm driving. That is it. They not learning new apps. Like, I am so impressed that you took that challenge. All right, God, you want me to be an author. I'm writing the book, I'm publishing the book. Now I need to learn social media, which is so overwhelming. And yet you have approached it with teachability and with an openness. And I love that you also shared that the right people came along at the right time to help you. Because God doesn't call us to do these things without sending the right people to step in at the right time and help us through things. And so I think that's what turns things from being so overwhelming to more doable, right?
And he does send people, and he opens new doors. I just have to real quickly tell you this one door that he recently opened. On my car, I have signs that advertise the series of the books, and my daughter took it to the car wash that we normally go to. Well, it was broken down, so the owner was making sure his people were washing it by hand. Afterwards, when she was putting the signs back on the car, he came out and said, "I need to talk to your mother. You all need to look into homeschoolers." There was a huge conference. They say it's the biggest in the United States for homeschoolers in Orlando. And the tickets, I think, were $150 a piece. And he gave us 2 tickets to go and see everything that they had so that we could be a vendor next year. And so we went, and it was amazing. I think there was about 30,000 people there,
Wow.
parents. We went around to the vendors, and it was wonderful to see mothers and fathers and children and grandparents there also. So that's an opportunity he gave us. And then the classes that you gave that we had Lamira in, she encouraged me to do like a not a textbook, but a curriculum type book to go along with the series and helped develop that. So it is the people that you have that the Lord has you meet and has you work with. And it just seems like it's unending.
Well, and isn't it great that at every juncture that you might be coming to that God already has the solution?
Yes.
And some of those things, he just literally drops in your lap. I mean, I think of the miracle of you, first of all, getting the ticket to go to the retreat, your friend texting you or emailing you, however she did. And
Yeah.
then here, him opening this new venue of you need to help homeschooling parents and giving you the resources to do that because your books fit perfectly with homeschooling parents, especially with this new resource guide that you have that goes along with your books. It's so, so amazing. We'll have to be sure to link that in the show notes as well, because it is a fantastic guide for anyone who wants to use the books as curriculum and helping children overcome their fears, their anger, listening, all those things, because kids that age struggle with it and adults too, right?
Yes. Absolutely. No matter what your age is.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Sharon, what would you say to someone, whether they're in their 70s or maybe they're 30 and they're feeling a calling from God? What would you say to encourage them along their path from the things that you've learned?
First of all, I would say to continue in prayer. To me, prayer is powerful and God answers our prayer. Then I'm just telling you what has worked for me, okay? Follow the leading that God has laid on your heart. If he constantly keeps coming up and keeps coming up in your mind and your heart, then follow through and ask him for help to show you how and when you should do certain things. And I also use the study of the Bible to try and find answers that I need to find.
I love that. Do you have a favorite Bible verse that has helped you through all of this?
Can I give you 3?
Yes, please do, because sometimes sometimes one will resonate with us and then another time another. That's how I find my favorite verses. It's at different points in my life when I've needed an answer and God literally just drops those verses in my lap. So please share the ones that have become meaningful to you.
Okay, these are lifelong ones. Is Philippians 4, 6 and 7. Don't worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, and guards your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And then verse 13 is, I am able to do all things through him who strengthens me. So God has really given me peace. He's given me strength. And he's just given me a willingness and energy. I mean, he's given me a sound mind. There's so much I'm grateful for. I have macular degeneration, and yet he's holding that at bay with the shots so I can still see. And I have glasses to see. I have hearing aids to hear. And he's just always there helping me.
I love those verses, and that verse 13 is my mantra as well, that in his strength we can do all things. And I think you're a perfect example of that, of proceeding forward with faith, not letting age or anything else hold you back. Like, okay, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to do this, trusting that he'll open the way, and he has. It's
Oh,
so miraculous to me to see just the little miracles that are truly ginormous miracles that
mm,
have opened along your path to
right,
get things done. So it didn't matter what the adversary threw at you. You're like, "Nope, we're forging forward. We're going ahead." And I love that you explained it. It's just following those feelings in your heart, right?
right. And the one of the great things is when we're selling books, we find conversations with people about God and about Jesus that we can share, you know, and even pray. with people, and so to me, that is an important mission of our work.
Yeah. Now, there is something special that you have also done with these books, and it's getting into the hands of those who can't afford to buy them. Would you mind telling me a little bit about some of the programs that God has kind of opened up to you so that you can get his love and a message to those who need it most?
Just before Christmas last year, we had a drive where I asked people to share in giving books. At that time, there was a series of 3 books to children that cost $30, that if they could pay for $3, then we could get it in the hands of 300 children, which we did. And we gave it to the Salvation Army, to, an orphanage, and to a children's home, and to, individuals that we would come in contact that we knew that could not afford them. And then some of the monies that we've had from the books have also helped the homeless and the poor. So,
I love that
yeah.
your generosity and that you're doing this with an eye single to God's glory, right? That you are working to do things his way,
Yes.
to help and love and serve his children on earth. And you are such a great example of that. Now, Sharon, before we wrap up, I would love for you to tell me where people can find you and your books. And just why don't you share that and the resource if you're looking for if you're homeschooling and you need to teach, use this as a teaching thing with your children. Tell us all about that.
Okay. You can find me on Amazon, of course, and on Barnes& and Nobles, and you can go to my website, which is SharonLeinoAuthor.com, and buy my books there if you want. I will mail them to you. The curriculum guide, you will have to email me at SharonLeino@gmail.com. You can find me on Kindle. If you have joined Kindle, they're free. If not, then, there's a small cost. The latest book we put all 4 books under one cover, and so that is also on Amazon. But I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram and YouTube.
You are all over the place. My goodness gracious. Look at how you've given God your few little fishes and he has multiplied them, right?
Oh, he has, and I really want them to be multiplied more so that I can give more, and he's still working with me on patience, and I know it's all in God's time, and even if it's after I'm gone, that's good.
You are
Money.
leaving a legacy of faith, and not only for your own family, but for anyone who hears your story, that they can hear your story and find things in it that are motivating to them. I know it sure is motivating to me to keep trying and working and moving forward. So, so beautiful. And Sharon, would you tell me the titles of all of your books as well?
Okay, book 1 is Scaredy, and that deals with Rudy's fear. Book 2 is Wandering Ear, which deal we add Josie to the group, and she doesn't listen, but neither does the queen listen that they rescue. Book 3 is Tame That Flame, which deals with Billy's anger, and book 4 is Sticky Sadness, which deals with grieving.
And so you can buy them individually now or in a box set. Is that right?
It's not a box set, but it's all under one nice cover because they
Oh.
are paperback.
Oh, that is so cool.
Mhm.
And you have a couple on Audible as well, don't you?
Yes, book 1, Scaredy, is on Audible, and book 3, Tame That Flame, is on Audible. Mm.
And that's especially important. I know my son Nathan, who has special needs, he likes to listen to a book while he reads it. And so I've been able to get the Audible and the physical copy of the book, and he will follow along with Sharon's book. It is so cute to watch.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
Yes, he's 26, but he reads books at that level, so they are perfect for him. So, I'm thankful you wrote them because I am even a beneficiary of your talents, so thank you for doing that.
Is
All
that
right, Sharon, this has been so wonderful to reconnect with you and to hear you share your story. Any final thoughts for women out there who are like you are trying to arise and follow that calling that may seem a little scary to them?
well, the important thing to remember is life isn't always easy, nor is it plentiful, nor is it without pain. But through God's strength, mercy, and grace and love, we are filled. He is always with us and will never leave us or forsake us.
Thank you. Well, Sharon, it has been an honor to be with you again today. Everyone be sure to check out Sharon. We'll put the links to her website and where you can find her books on the show notes of today's episode. And until next time, may you arise and do it God's way, like Sharon, and do it God strong because He opens all the doors that we need. Thanks for tuning in to the Arise Women of God podcast brought to you by Women Warriors of Light. If you're feeling unsure how to move forward in your calling or just tired of doing it alone, visit womenwarriorsoflight.com. You'll find resources, accountability, and a community of women who get it. Sometimes the calling feels bigger than you. That's when you need steady reminders of the powerful God who called you. Subscribe now for weekly inspiration and the courage to keep going, because with Him, nothing is impossible. And you're not the only one God is calling. That friend on your heart right now, share this episode with her. Your small act of obedience could be the breakthrough she's been praying for. Until next time, may you arise, walk God's way, and stand God strong.